welcome back. When it comes to pets, pet owners always think they know best, but some common practices could be costly for both owner and pet. And here with What's Faux Paw, get it? Is veterinarian Dr. Jennifer Hennessy.
Thank you.
You have to laugh when you know that kind of faux pas. But these are some things that are pretty serious. And starting with first, a lot of folks are guilty of this. Taking the table scraps or a bone scrap and sharing that with your dog.
Right. Despite the good intentions to sort of nurture by nourishing, they tend to give things that are dangerous, and bones are probably the #1 thing we see come to the ER because they can be sharp. And
don't they splinter inside of the dog?
They do, and so we might actually have to surgically correct those issues, which is easier avoided than taken care of. Yeah.
Is there anything that you might have in the fridge that would be okay for a dog?
Chicken would probably be the only thing I'd recommend, bread, and sometimes egg whites. You're really going to gear towards more of a protein. Rice is safe as well. A lot of times we may direct something bland like that for specific illnesses, but the best is just to leave all the human food on the human plate.
But if you absolutely have to, the chicken, it's absolutely plain and boiled only, right?
And boneless, yes.
Boneless as well. Okay, so let's move on to milk. Do kittens and puppies really need the cold milk?
Absolutely not. If you do feel, typically if they're less than 4 weeks old, you know, they're going to be on a milk supplement, and that should be a milk replacer that's geared towards cats and dogs. Actually, they're lactose intolerant. So that temptation to put that little saucer out there for them to drink from actually will create diarrhea and dehydration and illness, even though we're actually trying to do something that's beneficial.
So no milk. No,
steer clear.
What about affordable pets found or given for free?
Well, nothing ever comes for free, so I think we've all learned that as we kind of reach our adulthood, but any pet that comes along, say the strays and, you know, the bleeding hearts that take in, you know, the gifted pet or one that was just given away, I think the sad part is that we tend to veer towards that being a cheaper or more affordable option to have as a pet. However, we're still going to be committing the same time and energy and finances for the lifetime of that animal, so irregardless of the initial price tag, they're all going to cost the same, and you should expect so.
So kind of along the lines with that, what about pet insurance?
Pet insurance is phenomenal. It's getting better and better. The only kind of kicker with it is you actually need to be prepared to pay up front for your animal care for the majority of things like emergency care, and then they are actually refunded a portion depending on their plan. And so there are a lot of new ones out there. The best thing is to kind of do your research or talk to your veterinarian. They're going to have a preferred one in their office to kind of guide you on where to start in your researching.
So of course there's going to be that financial obligation, whether that dog or cat or whatever kind of animal it is.
So plan for that ahead of time, and that reduces stress and enables you to provide more for your pet overall.
Later on. Okay, let's move on to indoor pets don't need as much veterinary care because they are safe from germs.
That is a huge one, and I'd say heartworm prevention is probably the #1 thing we see families steer from and sort of leave off. You know, the plan for the year is I'll just keep Fifi or Fido indoors and they'll be fine. They're protected from germs. But they actually contract mosquitoes even inside the house. We know we all get, you know, bug bites and things every now and then. That's how they actually contract heartworm disease. So it's recommended, as prevalent it is in Houston, that we keep them on year-round prevention. I've actually treated a puppy for parvo. They came in and it had never left the house. It had maintained in the interior, used potty pads. They did everything ultimately to protect this puppy, but it became parvo positive from even just tracking the virus in on our shoes. So they're not safe, unfortunately.
Indoor dogs and cats need the same protection as ones that go outside.
Yes.
Okay, so pure breeds are healthier than mixed mutts.
I'd definitely say this is some misinformation when you go out seeking, you know, a dog or cat or a specific breed you're interested in. When they're bred in the purebred sector, so if you're going to a breeder, you're going to be selecting for bred traits. That doesn't mean that they're free of cancer, that they're free of illness. So we got to expect that even if they're purebred and of the utmost pedigree, they still are at risk of illness. Same with the mutts. So they're basically, you need to be prepared for all of it as they continue to age and become senior pets on you.
Okay, a warm nose means a pet is sick. I'm learning so much.
So this is one I've actually asked, had several clients ask me about, and they come in thinking their pet is healthy because the nose is wet and the nose is moist. But
and
actually,
they're thinking like with the warm nose, maybe it's running a fever.
Correct, and so they come in for both, and I think the misinformation on that end steers them to either seek veterinary care when it's not needed, which can be frustrating for the pet owner, but also they overlook other things, like if they're vomiting or having a behavior change, they check the nose, and if it's moist and wet, they tend to steer away from the veterinary visit, where I've had pets come in that were horribly ill, and the nose never correlates with what's going on with them.
So it doesn't matter. Dry nose, wet nose, doesn't matter.
Nope. And it'll change throughout the day. It actually will change in temperature and moisture throughout the day on a normal sense.
Wow. Okay, what about pets need to lick their wounds to help with the healing?
This is definitely incorrect. Initially, say if they get dirt in it, yes, they will clean off that original layer of dirt, but after that, they're contributing more bacteria and infection into the wound. If they've had surgery and they have incisions and they have sutures, in minutes, they'll undo the whole entire repair.
That's why they get the halo.
It is. They get their lampshades, and so definitely, believe it or not, we need to keep their mouths and tongues off of their skin wounds.
Okay, let's focus on cats on this one. Okay. A cat going potty outside of their litter box is just them acting out.
A lot of owners think that they're doing it out of spite, and they're not. I mean, there's definitely the handful with their catitude, where they're actually throwing that out there. But until
catitude, I actually love that because they do. Each cat has his own personality, own attitude.
They do, and the owners will kind of think, it's more of a behavior thing, or they're acting up. But we see so many cats come in on emergency for urinary health issues, and that is usually one of the first signs that we can correlate with a urinary tract infection or maybe early blockage, which is fairly common. We see probably 2 of those a week.
Okay, I want to get quickly to these last 2. Pets' mouths are cleaner than ours.
Incorrect.
I can tell you that because the dogs go and eat poop.
Absolutely. They lick, unmentionables and all sorts of things off the ground. And so definitely never presume that it's a safe and clean environment in there.
Okay, what about dogs and the way they see the world? Do they see in black and white?
They do not. And I was taught that when I was a kid growing up, that they saw in black and white, but they actually see color. They're just colorblind, very similar to humans. And so they really, of all the color array, oranges, reds, everything in that hue, they can't really detect. And I think it's kind of ironic that a lot of toys now are oranges and reds. So
they don't care.
Right, if they can't see it in the grass, it blends in with the grass. They see yellows and blues, grays, and some greens. And so really just kind of consider that when you're buying their toys and things.
Jennifer, thanks for coming in. So fascinating.
Thank
Busting
you.
all the faux pas. So to connect with Dr. Hennessy, you want to visit animalernwh.com.